Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we are going to recap the AJP World Pro for 2021. We are going to recap Fight to Win 188, and we are going to recap GrappleFest 10. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, to my co-host,
Miranda.
How you doing, Miranda?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. Been a little sick the past couple of days, so you can probably hear that in the recording, but I'm going to do my best to not have that be a problem. We're not going to do a ton of previews this week because everything we have for the next 2 weeks the next week is 2 weeks out. So we have a holiday week in the U.S. here. It is Thanksgiving week. I am probably going to leave tonight to drive 10 hours, 550 miles up to Rachel's parents' house, and that'll be
fun stuff.
It'll be fun. So we're going to finish this recording. I'm going to edit it and then drive 10 hours with Rachel and the dog.
I'm going to do absolutely nothing and probably feed myself on a ton of stuffing.
I'm ready for Thanksgiving. It should be fun. We had some fun matches this week. I think, do we have any news this week? I don't think anything big happened.
No, I'm trying to think.
We have Tye kind of confirming he's up at 88.
Yeah.
Tye Ruotolo for ADCC. I think we already knew that. He gave an interview with Role Models where he kind of talked about bulking up and the rematch with Craig Jones being a match that he wanted to have after his GrappleFest match.
Cody Steele had a pro fight.
How'd that go?
I think he knocked
that.
the guy out pretty fast. I think it was a
He's
decisive win.
Is his second pro fight or first pro fight?
Second, because his first one was in September.
It was also a second round knockout, I think.
Yeah.
So cool to see him continuing to do well in MMA.
If anybody else did anything recently.
I don't think so.
I've
been sick the past couple of days, so
it's been pretty quiet.
It's just been like me on the couch being sick playing Mario Party. So let's move right into it. What do you want to start with?
We'll do GrappleFest 10.
Let's do GrappleFest 10. This one was headlined by Kade Ruotolo taking on Keith Krikorian.
And it was in England, right?
Yeah, it's England. GrappleFest is an English promotion. I love GrappleFest because every single year they run a card on Thanksgiving break. And usually it's I'm on vacation, and so I get to watch GrappleFest middle of the day in England and just hang out and watch.
It was kind of fun to have it in the middle of the day.
I love it. Again, I love the GrappleFest runs at that time slot.
Because I'm old and at 9 o'clock at night I'm tired.
It's just too late. I don't want to be watching fights at 12:30 at night. I
know,
love watching midday. GrappleFest comes on with the prelims, main cards 11. I love it.
Yeah.
So this is a fun matchup. We have the Kade Ruotolo, the under 77 kilogram ADCC North American Trials winner, versus Keith Krikorian, the under 66 silver medalist. This is actually, in hindsight, a much bigger matchup than I kind of had thought initially. These are two big name ADCC guys that are coming off of big trials performances.
Are they? No, they weren't. That's the other match. They weren't. It was a catchweight match. It wasn't a championship match.
Keith. Yeah, so Keith had some super difficult flights coming in. They talked about it on commentary for the match. They had to train him across Europe to get into the match. As a result, the match was a catchweight because Keith came in the morning of the fight.
Basically,
which for a professional competitor on a main event slot that is
rough.
Astonishingly. I think it was Dante. I forget who was the main event here.
The main event was Dante.
Yeah, it was Dante
and Oliver Taza.
For
interim
championship. For a co-main spot or a third from the top spot, that's super tough. But
super tough anyway.
Yeah. And then to come in with all your flights being delayed, missing connections, getting trained over, not getting a chance to cut the weight, and then coming in and fighting Kade Ruotolo.
Which he's going to give you a hard time no matter what.
Dude, Cade...
He doesn't stop moving.
This match, Cade looked so good in this match. And again, much like he did in the trials, he would move into his A-game positions. He would move into his passing sequences. He would get on top. He would get to Keith's back. He would get to the side control.
Yeah.
He would get
I thought he
had
a twister at one point.
He kind of started to set one up, but Keith is a guy that... And I didn't think Cade saw that. Keith is a guy that if you try to get too flashy with it, he will counter you because he's in those rooms with those guys that have those weird
twisters
games.
all the time.
Yeah, 10th Planet guys.
Yeah.
So, overall, Cade just looked very, very dominant. He was dominant.
Control.
He was in control.
For most of the match,
He also did something that I thought wasn't interesting, but it was good game planning, is that he never opened up with anything super flashy. He was very consistent and I'm going to get to position, go to the next position, go to the back. Keith is not a guy that you want to try to scramble with. Again,
no, because it might not happen.
The Gianni Grippo match.
Yeah.
In a scramble, Keith takes Gianni's back and finishes Gianni in the semifinals was that?
It had to be semifinals.
I think semifinals or fourth round of ADCC
No, it was
trials.
semifinals because then Gianni came back and got third.
Yeah.
So it had to have been semifinals, right?
Or round of 8.
Yeah.
Round of 8. Yeah.
Because then he went on and got second, and then Gianni got third.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. So again, he's not a guy you want to scramble with, and Cade probably looked at Keith's matches or knows about Keith well enough
Yeah.
to know that, like, yeah, he's not a guy I want to scramble with. I want to control him, lock him down, and he did that for the entirety of the match and never let Keith start to throw up his offense, either leg locks or like anything from a top position. I think he ever really let him get to a top position.
No, there was some leg exchanges, but I don't think Keith ever really sat up.
Yeah.
I think,
Again,
yeah.
there's not a ton in this match I really want to, really technically have to talk about. It was Keith was controlled, and Cade did a very good job throughout the duration of the match, just controlling him. And he would never let Krikorian fully escape something. He would always like counter with positional offense here, as opposed
Like
to
even when he had his back and he was trying to choke him out, he got out of the choke.
Yeah.
But he would regain control after getting out of that.
Yeah.
He would never let him get to a superior position.
never let him get into his guard, essentially, which was good. And again, he's choosing where he lets go of those attacks to continue to maintain dominant position.
Yeah.
It's something you harp about as a coach a lot, but it's really nice to see Cade be so have such a defined and really well thought out game plan going into a guy as dangerous as Krikorian. So that was that match. Very fun match. Again, these guys pushed a pace throughout the entirety of the thing. Honestly, all four of the main event or the main card matches were
15
fun.
minutes? 10 or 15? I think the main event was 15 because it was a championship.
think
The other ones were
they
like
were
10.
Yeah, I think they
Still
were 10.
10 is a long.
Yeah.
It's a long round.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later
Yeah.
for AJP, because AJP is down at 5 minutes.
Yeah, which is great.
You get a huge contrast in match style, but again, I like that certain matches like this, they work out well.
Yeah,
So next
they
match,
do.
what's the next match you want to talk about?
We'll go down the line. We'll do Tye Ruotolo
Versus Nick Ronan.
Nick Ronan.
This is a match I was honestly surprised about. I had forecasted Tye to come in and most likely be able to submit Nick Ronan, and Nick Ronan throughout the entirety of the match stayed in it.
Yeah, he did.
Tye was really. He did a good job, and you talked about it a little bit in the pre-show with the double legs and the single legs.
Yeah, he did.
Throughout the match,
He did.
He dominated.
Nick would get square. Every time Nick would square up, Tye would just shoot a double and just take him down.
Or hit an outside or an inside single leg and get him down. They played to the edge of the mat a lot, and even the commentator talked about they're doing that a lot. You played your rule set.
But it works well because if he has to try to get out of danger.
Right.
And if you're going to take him down, you're not getting points for a takedown. Why does it matter? You can just keep on doing it and kind of break someone down until they're afraid to kind of stand up with you.
Yeah, he used a ton of clubs too, is what you talk about.
Yeah, the clubs were ridiculous. Like that's one of those things that has always frustrated me with some people when I roll with them, is if you keep on playing with my head, I get mad after a while. But what do you also do when you do that? You stand up, you open yourself up.
You're trying to open up, you get your chest nice and high. Again, it's really
and
good.
then you're up for a double.
It's really good game planning from Tye. He's super long. He can get to your neck first. He can club at you. And then Nick Ronan has kind of a more heavy wrestle stance on the front leg, but he's still a little high on his chest. And so continue to club at a guy like that will force him to take a more squared and more upright stance. That'll leave you open for his hips for either the single or the double.
And then Ronan goes in for the scissor takedown.
Yeah, that was a fun little sequence, and he did something really nice on the scissor takedown later into the, or not really too late, kind of in the middle of the match.
In the middle of the match, yeah.
He jumps for the scissor leg, and then he jumps and he slides his far side arm almost to try to grab Tye's far side leg.
Yeah.
And Ruotolo does a great job in countering, because what'll happen is you go for the scissor leg, you'll actually get both legs to attack either a heel hook or a clover leaf, and Ruotolo jumps over and almost bellies down on the entry. It protects his own knee, and it makes it so you can't grab the far side leg to get it for a leg lock, and then Ruotolo is able to get up in position and get his legs out of there. It was a very nice sequence and a very good offense from Ronan with some really good.
But then
defense
Tye
from
just takes his back from that position.
Yeah, and for a huge portion of the match, maybe 2 minutes, is working for an arm in rear naked choke.
Yeah,
and I was looking at if anyone's going to finish this,
I've never seen that completed, but
I've seen it a couple of times, but it's rare.
They had said on announcing that either Kai or Cade did it at the trials, but I don't remember seeing that at the trials.
Well, it would have been Tye because Cade. Sorry, it would have been Cade.
It would have been Cade because Tye wasn't there, but
Tye didn't compete.
They were acting like Cade had gotten that at the trials.
I mean, I think it was in day one. I think he got it on someone. Okay. But again, the level the level of competition. You have a world-class person versus someone entering the trials.
You have more of the locals on day one.
Yeah, and again, I don't know who he did it on. Could have been a very good guy. This is a position, then a submission that we could see either Ruotolo get because they're very long-limbed.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this after. Again, it's not a submission that we see hit with any level of frequency.
Yeah.
But it sort of is almost like a dart from the back.
True.
Theoretically, depending on how he locks it up. And it did. And Nick was defending this. It looked at one point before Nick reached back to grab the close side hand to pull over, like Tye was setting up a darce from the back. And I was curious if he was going to fall off or just try to finish it straight on the back.
Yeah.
I am curious, again, we talk about the buggy choke not working, and then the Ruotolos come and, like, kind of incorporate it as a consistent thing into their game.
They also have a body style that...
They do.
That they have long arms.
But it's one of those... Almost any other grappler, I would probably discount that.
Yeah.
But with the Ruotolos, given the body style, given like the way that they finish, and given, you know, how dangerous they are with the buggy choke, with the darce, and sort of those arm-in style chokes, this might be something that they're actively working that we may see more of in the future.
I was at one of those Tap Cancer Out tournaments, like the first year they were around, so a long time ago. And I watched someone choke someone out from... The person was on their back, and they somehow choked out the person that was behind them. To this day, I have no idea
I've seen that footage. Yeah,
I have no idea how it happened. It completely baffled me.
That happens occasionally. It's super rare, but
he somehow reached back and somehow do it. I have no freaking idea how
I've seen people do it on a baseball choke, like on nogi baseballs as well.
Is that what it probably was?
It's usually a baseball choke or some variation.
I remember
of like
watching it
choke.
and then being completely confused on who was tapping, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Because the person goes to sleep on their back, and then the other person who has the person on the back turns, and you realize that the person is asleep that had their back, and it's
one of those wild, weird, happens once in a lifetime.
Yeah, like a double buggy choke.
Yeah, well,
shout out 10 Planet Qualifiers for that. So
I mean, hey, if you can do it, do it.
This is a fun match. That piece of technique was really interesting to me. I'm curious to see if we will continue to see the Ruotolos go for that, because we've seen them try it a couple times, but Tye was trying to finish this on Nick Ronan.
He was.
And he locked up his hands, and it didn't look like something he was just holding for effect. He looked like he was actively looking to submit Nick with it.
Yeah, he definitely was. And because at first I also looked to see if it was him trying to get a reaction. Because, you'll reactionary try to
well, you pull it in, and then the person will fight their shoulder down.
Well, because they're going to fight their shoulder down,
right.
And then you get the neck from there. You try to...
And it totally wasn't that. It was, he saw him lock his hands up, and I went, oh, he's going to try to finish this.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can do that. Because normally I try to wrap people's, hand around their head.
I have never had any success with this choke with anyone with skill parity to me.
Oh, I'm sure.
You have to crank down so hard. You can get guys that are not as good as you with it, but to have someone
I have little
parity,
bony hands.
You do. To have someone with skill parity, I've never seen this be successful, but again...
It's kind of like the 7-year-old choke.
I had someone with that this last week.
Yeah.
If you don't know, it's an old school Jeff Glover choke.
Yeah.
Where you basically, it's kind of like a 10-finger guillotine, but it's from the back.
Yeah, you put your hands together and you kind of grab their
you grab their neck behind them.
their neck behind them, and then you just kind of hip into their head.
But it's with your legs over their shoulders.
Yeah.
It's a really weird choke, and I haven't hit it in years, and I hit it last week. So look up Jeff Glover's 7-year-old choke for other weird chokes.
Yeah.
Moving on.
It's a good one. It's a good one when people try to wiggle out.
It's a nice choke. It's just very, very uncommon.
Yes.
Moving on to more common chokes, we had Dante Leon versus Oliver Taza. This was, and Dante talked about this a little bit in the post-fight interview.
Yeah.
He goes, you never quite know what you're going to get with Taza. He may play a stand-up game with you, or he plays this, like he's going to pull and go for your legs, and that's the game he wanted to play, which is, again, I thought kind of where he would take it, given Dante's really, really good jiu-jitsu wrestling.
Yeah.
I would doubt that Taza would look to engage him there, because
it's not a smart idea.
It's just not a smart idea. It's not good game planning. And Taza is a guy with good game planning for a lot of this. Taza looked good here, and I was impressed with this is some of the best bottom performance that we have seen from Taza versus high level competition.
Because even when Leone would pass, he didn't pass for long. He'd pass for a couple seconds before he would get...
Taza did a great job of getting up on his hip, throwing his far leg in, but Dante just consistently throwing pressure and
aggression and passing.
But he was also very, very measured. And in the pre-show, you mentioned this as well. Whenever Taza would start to enter underneath and Dante wouldn't like the entry, He would be out.
He would be
all
out,
the way
or he would make it into his own back take. When
Yeah.
Taza would try to take his back, he would turn it into his own back take, which was great.
And we've seen Dante be super successful with that in the
Yeah.
past. We've seen both of these guys do that, but Leone is a guy that we more frequently see him scramble up. He also does something I love in this match, and it's something we see him and there's somebody else, Michael Galvao,
Okay.
does it as well, I think. When you pull his leg in, he beats you with his hips.
Yeah.
Like he can also but Dante will tend to fold his hips over.
Yeah.
And so as a result, he can tack up first. So if you're in like a mirrored leg position and Dante gets one leg out, he doesn't try to wing. I'm going to try to explain this in audio. He doesn't try to bring his leg all the way around to post it.
Yeah.
He just sits over top of his shin and beats you with his hips there. And he
Which is a
consistently
stronger way of handling that.
well, it's a quicker way too,
Yeah.
so it's stronger and quicker. You can't quite have your post as far out to get leverage to stand up, but you can spin your leg underneath, and then if you have a grip or you have your opponent's grip, you can lean into that grip and pull up. And that's something we saw him do a couple of times here versus Taza, because Taza will kick that low leg out and try to tech up and get on top or pass or enter into your legs. And Leone wasn't winging his leg around and like rotating it to get up. He was just sitting over his own hip. And as a result, he was beating Taza kind of into the upper position to start passing. And he did it consistently. And I was really, really impressed that he stayed as diligent with that and like with his hips forward the entirety of the match and never like laid off and like tried to play into Taza's game.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
Taza is
the
very
one
good
time
at
he
that.
did try to exchange leg locks. But then
just
Leone,
once.
Yeah, just once, and Leone stood up, or not stood up, but did the tech up, like you said.
Yeah.
And went back into passing. And it was just a passing game.
Yeah, and then I think Leone put up much more consistent pressure. He had good pressure on the outside knee.
There was a full pass at the end, too.
Towards the end of the match.
He did fully pass him at one point.
Yeah, but fun match overall. Dante Leon. What weight was this at? It's not listed on our results. What weight was that? Under 80?
It has to be.
I think this was the under 80 belt. Oh, by the way, I love the GrappleFest belt.
It was.
That looks awesome.
It was Giles. Giles is the champion, but Giles
Lachlan?
can't. Yeah, they said
No shit.
They said Lachlan was the belt champion, but he's in Australia and he can't come.
Right? Yeah, Australia is super restrictive still.
So that was for the interim championship. Whoever wins gets Giles.
Hell yeah, that's an awesome match.
Yeah,
I
so
can't
that's
wait
gonna
to
be
see
that's
that.
gonna be fun whenever that happens.
That'll be awesome. I'm super.
Yeah.
I forgot Lachlan had that. He's had
Yeah.
that for a jump now. I think he won that right after ADCC 2019. I think this was the first event he did. I think back in 2019.
Yeah.
So that's an awesome match. I cannot wait to preview a Dante versus Lachlan match.
Yeah, come on, Australia, or move it to Australia. We can do GrappleFest in Australia.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
They were going to do a US UK card. And GrappleFest consistently puts on fun events. I really like it. We also on this card had Pierre-Olivier Leclerc taking on, and it's listed as Mateus Sazinski, which is
Polish Mateus.
the Polish Mateus, as Miranda puts it. This is actually against I can never pronounce the guy's name. Dinu Bucalet.
That works.
I can never get his name. We cover him on GrappleFest.
Yeah.
Pierre looked really good throughout the entire match. Good leg locks, good offense, good top control. Again, very much in the driver's seat for the entire match. Very fun match. All four of these matches on GrappleFest were a lot of fun. Again, it gives us more information about where people's games are and like where they're going. Again, very impressed with everyone on the card, but very impressed with the winners of these matches and interested to see how they look in the future. Also, Role Models did some really good interviews with some of the folks after the match. You can find those on YouTube. Tye talks about moving up to 88. Dante talks about kind of his plans moving into ADCC, and like I think potentially took an injury in this match at some point. I need to rewatch and figure out exactly where.
So I realized that I was probably within 5 feet of Dante like multiple times at ADCC and didn't realize it. Like I realized it afterwards watching the video from Daisy Fresh. I was like, Oh yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I
Dante's
was there.
right there.
He was right there.
Yeah.
No clue. That shows how observant I was of my situation.
It was a big weekend. So overall, a lot of fun. You can find it on Flow Grappling and look at that. Where do you want to do next, Miranda?
We can do AJP.
Let's go to AJP. So we watched all these. We're going to talk about the men's and women's finals for the brown and black belt divisions, which are lumped together in AJP. This was World Pro.
Yeah.
And for the men's divisions, we're talking about the men's adult divisions. The whole video is up on Flow for just the adult black belt finals and black and brown finals.
Black and brown
for women.
Yeah.
We're going to go through It was great. AJP now has a 5-minute match as opposed to a 6-minute match.
Yeah.
So they've even shortened it further.
So am I understanding this correctly that at both advantages and penalties you both get a point for?
Because I forget the penalty rule. I know so AJP
because
does
there's
a really good
there's
job.
like a warning.
Yeah.
And then after the warning, I think both parties get a point. What confused me was
so.
when they showed the points, on top of the points it said penalties. But I watched a double guard pull and they didn't touch each other when they did it. And both of them got a penalty, but that then went into points. It didn't go into penalties. So I think they were actually getting awarded a point on certain things.
I didn't expect a follow-up rules question, Miranda.
Yeah, no,
I haven't looked at the rules.
I was just... That kept on confusing me because then all of a sudden people were getting stalling. Like, they were getting stalling penalties, and then those points were showing up. And I was like, oh, there's points. So, anyway, welcome to the... trying to learn multiple sets of rules. And
in a single weekend.
Yeah, my brain is still on ADCC rules. I need to like...
Yeah, we did the rules seminar, and then we spent the next week after that, like, discussing very specific rules and intricacies with ADCC. Again, that's off the... Like, not... on the back end of the show, kind of peel behind the curtain. That is one of the most difficult things that we have to do for doing this show is keep all of the rules like consistent in our head. And we even had a discussion with Josh today, right before the podcast, about in the Gabriela Passanelli match versus Yara Rodriguez on or Yana Suarez, discussing like why exactly Passanelli was awarded a point or an advantage, and like how World Pro does that versus other organizations, and was it
they
or was
also
it not?
They also do they can pause it and look at film,
which I think is great. They have the Falcon Eye,
the
which
Falcon
they
Eye.
have. I've talked about this repeatedly over the years. I wish we would be able to cover World Pro and AJP more and UAJF more, because I think they have the best refereeing aside from ADCC.
They do have good
of
refereeing. I agree with that.
Any organization, because if there's ever a question,
and they put on quite a show.
Yeah. Well, if there's ever a question, they bring it to the video review, and they video review it. They look at it
with multiple
people. Bunch of refs
Yeah.
that basically go, "Yep, this is what happened."
Yeah.
This again happened, I think, twice in Adam
happened at least
Wardzinski
twice,
match.
yeah.
And there's a couple matches where it was like, "Oh, cool! I missed that the first time," and they called it, and the head referee goes video review, and they look at it.
And even at the end, like when a match was over, they would video review.
Yeah.
Which
so there's really there wasn't any. There is very little controversy in those matches because.
I've also heard if you do this tournament, it's like crazy wild. Like they put you all in the same hotel. And it's a really nice hotel, and it's like party time.
Yeah.
Like you do your matches, and then it's just like a partying weekend.
I would hope.
Yeah.
So AJP is always fun. I wish we would be able to cover them more. They're typically a little harder for us to cover just with how their matches come out. It's usually full videos. It's usually day of or day after.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder, but I love covering AJP, and it is really up there. It's got such a good rule set for the gi. I think it has probably the best gi rule set of anything we cover. But it is confusing.
And you have Steven Skull.
And you have Steven Seagal there as well. 5-minute matches, no advantages. If you get an advantage, what would be an advantage in IBJJF, you are given a point. If you are given a negative, your opponent is given a point. There's a lot of other rules. They also change their rules yearly, which I think is great. They adjust to like new things.
Which is great.
Yeah, they are actively,
because
adjusting
there's
their
always
rules.
problems that are going to occur, and there's things that you're going to realize people taking advantage of the system.
I just appreciate that they do that. Again, we've changed the match from 6 minutes to 5 minutes. 5 minutes I thought was a little short, but because they have really aggressive stalling penalties as well in AJP,
they do.
They
were calling people left and right.
But it was the flow of the matches were great. And
you don't have those stalling matches that never get anywhere. You still have that, but you don't have the same.
No, I watched in these finals matches. There was no match where I was like, he's stalling, because they were on top of it. I think it was great. It's honestly a super fun event to watch. You should go back and watch the finals. Very high level jiu-jitsu.
It's like 2 hours long, really. If you make it short, it's maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah, if you tab through the intros and stuff like that.
There's a lot of filler in there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Let's talk about the men's under 65. Sorry, 50. I'm dyslexic there. Under 56 kilogram division. We had Nathan Fernandez defeating John Andre via points, 9-6. Fun, high scoring match again in 5 minutes, a 9-6 match. Both guys were hustling.
And then at the end, there was a footlock attempt.
Yep.
Which was great to see because at least you got to try. If you're going to lose on points, I mean, at least
I appreciate that. And it was a decent footlock attempt. I didn't think he was going to finish it, but I do appreciate. Again, we talk about on the show all the time, like footlocks in the last 30 seconds don't count. But again,
gotta do what you gotta do.
we did see Michael
You never know. It
Galvao
happens
in a
sometimes.
later match finish a footlock, actually really in the middle of the match, but very fun match. Not super familiar with either one of these guys, even though I know that I should be. Again, that's also why I like AJP, is they give a worldwide showcase to a lot of folks. There's very few Brazilian finals.
56 kilograms is how big? It's like 135, right?
Something
It's like in the 30s.
that.
It has to be because 60,
It's 123.
123. Yeah.
So it's like
Rooster.
it's a little heavier than Rooster. Oh yeah, no, it's
No,
Rooster.
it's
It's
Rooster.
Rooster weight. And then it is flyweight for men.
Okay.
A little under flyweight for like MMA weight classes.
Yeah.
So very fun match. Happy to see both guys. Again, definitely guys that we'll be seeing more of. In the men's 62 kilogram division, we had Diego Hayes defeating Giorgio Razmadzi. Again, 7-3 on points. A very quick, action-packed match. A couple back and forth, like not teeter sweeps, but
No, it's sweeps.
yeah.
They sweep from bottom to top position.
Diego's able to get around once there.
Georgie tries to get his knee at the end.
Yep, there's a nice knee bar attempt
Yeah.
at the end. Never gets it. Diego Hayes takes that on points. On the men's 69 kilogram division, we had Pablo Lavaselli defeating Israel Souza on points. This was, I think, the
Why do they
closest
keep on
match.
calling him Israel Almeida? Like they kept on saying Almeida on
Because
everything.
Brazilians,
I know.
and they have 4 or 5
I know.
names.
Well, they
and
were
so
calling him
picked two.
Almeida, so my notes are Almeida.
Look, I just appreciate that AJP at least lists the whole name
Yeah,
out.
true.
They list like the first and last name, so at least you're not looking at like an abbreviation of a letter. Like that's one of the things that bothers me more than almost anything in jiu-jitsu.
What IBJJF?
No,
How you become
like,
a whole different person?
well, they just have that like the single letter and then a random last name.
Yeah.
Like that bothers me so much. I love that AJP puts the whole name
for
there,
us
so I know
people
who we
with
are.
without multiple last names, it puts our middle name as our first. It puts
Yeah.
an initial, middle name, last name, and so then I become a completely different person.
Yeah.
Because I don't go by that name at all.
It's super frustrating to me.
Yeah.
I wish they would just list the whole name. And again, I appreciate that AJP does that for the finals. You just see the guy's regular name listed out, and I know who it is. And then it's on the screen during the match so I can keep it straight. I just think, again, the production quality for AJP is great. That is such a small thing to add that just makes it so much easier to watch.
And the two came from a sweep at the end.
Yeah, very close to the end.
Yeah.
Again,
About
a fun
30
match.
seconds before the end, he goes and sweeps him. He gets to 50-50, sweeps him.
Yeah,
Sweeps
well,
him,
again,
comes up.
AJP, we see a lot. We saw throughout the finals a lot of sweeps from 50-50.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see. I'm curious to kind of think about why we're seeing so many sweeps from 50-50. I think it's
Gianni
because
Grippo's been doing that too.
Well,
Like,
it's-
a lot of his games.
we in
around that.
IBJJF we don't see that scored as much, and so I'm trying to think if it's a rules thing for AJP or if it's something specific like that's different technically now, because we saw way more scoring in AJP
Yeah.
than we do in IBJJF for 50-50 sweeps, and
Yeah.
I don't know what changed here, and I'm curious to see if people have
Well,
made technical adjustments or if it's within the scoring
Within
criteria
the
of
score,
AJP is
I
different.
it might be a scoring criteria because when you think about it, 50-50 is neutral. So you're
Yeah.
going from neutral up.
Yeah.
So does IBJJF consider that a sweep? Even
They
if you have leg
do
involvement?
if you
up.
sit up to top.
Yeah.
You basically, if your hips get above and you establish any sort of base,
But
it
even
counts
if you're
as a
both,
sweep.
yeah, but even if you're both
Yeah, they
start
do.
from your butts,
They
do.
still count
Okay.
it. But it just in AJP we saw it a bunch here.
Yeah, a lot.
And we saw a lot of people scoring like points off of it. And
It might just be something that you figured out is an easy thing to do or is a quick
Yeah.
two, you know?
the meta of
Because all you got to do is really beat them up.
the meta of 50-50 sweeps is always interesting, and it has
Yeah.
developed a ton since 2014, and it's interesting to
sure.
see. I think we're seeing a resurgence of the 50-50
And
sweep
I
again.
guess also you're not in these rule sets. You're not as worried about
Advantages.
or heel hooks because you're not worrying about getting a heel hook. Then you're not worrying about
Yeah,
a
because
lot
you're
of
in the gi.
because you're in the gi,
Right.
so you don't have to worry about dangling your feet.
Yeah.
So you can 50-50.
Well, I mean,
because
next match you have to worry about dangling your feet. Men's 77 kilogram division, youngest champ in in AJP World Pro history, Michael Galvao at 18 years old submits Espen Mathisen with a straight ankle lock. Dude, Michael Galvao had a hell of a weekend. I think I posted something in our chat on like Wednesday or Thursday of him submitting Levi Jones Leary with a triangle in the opening round.
which is crazy.
And I was just like, man,
Jones
he
Leary's
is
good.
Levi Jones Leary is good. It was just like Levi Jones Leary got a little, I'm going to say, overzealous on a pass attempt, and Michael Galvao just was able to snatch up a triangle, make some adjustments, and finish. It was like a minute and a half into the match.
Yeah. It wasn't as fast as Bia, but it was fast.
No. And so it was a very fun match. Michael Galvao was ahead on points. And then Mathisen tries to sort of take his back, but Galvao was able to contain his foot and then ends in a really strange, like, belly up
the other
footlock.
thing that sucked was they went away from the action and showed us the ref right as this was happening.
Yeah.
Because I tried to figure out what the entry was, because he was passing. At the very end, he goes for the footlock.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell which direction.
He was kind of half trying to, like, prevent the back take, too, because Mathisen got around him and then got towards looking at his back.
But then that's when they jump away from them.
Right.
And then when they go back, he has his foot, and he's almost like on a belly, like he's going to belly down.
He's
up on it at that point.
It's kind of like if you go for a knee bar and you're sitting on their hips, and then they're sort of, to stop you from getting a knee bar,
so is it like
begin to take your back.
Is it like a Mikey lock?
No, it's not. It's not a thing. You did it. I know you did it to me.
I did.
Michael Galvao, has that. And then he just kind of bellies over to the side, but still in the upright position. And then I was curious, like, is he going to get DQ'd because he's on the wrong leg? And then they finished, and I realized that he was actually on the mat side leg still.
Yeah.
He wasn't crossed over like I thought he initially had been. And it's a very strange footlock position. There is a pass, a back take, and a footlock occurring kind of simultaneously. Yeah. And Michael Galvao has a crazy grip about him, because we've seen him finish a bunch of footlocks and, like, very, very quick, hard submissions like this. And I'm curious to see, or to really hear from other people what his lockup is like, because he finishes people much more quickly than I am used to seeing people. Again, this is a really, really tight submission.
Super strong. Like,
I mean,
crazy
I would guess he's super strong given how he finished this.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. It was a really neat finish. I need to go back and, again, hopefully find another angle of it to see the transition there. They do sometimes. They have mat side. Again, for the finals, they may not, but Anthony Zanella might have a mat side angle for it.
I couldn't find another angle.
Yeah, I'll look this week. But yeah, really cool to see Michael Galvao winning a World Pro title at 18 years old and being the youngest World Pro.
Brand new black belt.
Brand new black belt, killing it. AJP goes like, yeah, we're not the IBJJF. You're a black belt. Go compete.
Whatever.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that because we know he's on the level, and this, again, just goes to continuing to prove that he is just on that level. And I love watching athletes have the opportunity to compete at the highest level.
And I like how they also they don't go by teams; they go by country of origin.
Well, they do both.
They do both. I mean, they do it by teams, but they do country of origin.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
It makes it a world event. And I appreciate that. We talk about in AJP. We're not going to get a chance to talk about it much in today's show, but the first round is a country qualifier, pretty much for Brazilians. So they don't end up with a bunch of Brazilians in all the brackets.
Yeah.
Like, it gives the rest of the people that represent other countries in the world an opportunity to fill in the brackets because your Brazilians essentially have to qualify in. If you have more than 2 people from a country, I forget how Josh can answer this better, but it's your previous winner gets a slot in, and then it is also 1 or 2 other people from the country get a slot in.
Yeah.
If you notice, the finals were mostly Brazilians versus another country or another nationality. That's why that happens, because the Brazilians, if there's 8 Brazilians, you've got to whittle it down to 2 in that preliminary qualifier,
which makes sense.
Which are typically called the brackets of death, because it's like, cool, world champion, world champion, world champion, world champion. It's like brackets a bunch of stacked people that would typically meet in the end of a bracket now have to fight to get into World Pro in the first place. Again, I really enjoy it. It really makes it a world event as opposed to the Brazilian show or like an American show for some of those brackets. It is a nice little thing, and that's why we get Galvao versus Mathisen here at the finals, a Norwegian versus a Brazilian.
Yeah.
Moving on, 85 kilogram division, we see Zaki Bahens or Bahanis. I, to this day, have heard his name pronounced so many different times.
They kept on saying Braz.
Well, because it's his middle name is Braz.
Oh, okay.
Defeats William Diaz 7-0. Dude, he was on it.
Yeah.
He goes, he passes. He gets side control. Does he get mount here? He almost does a couple times, but just
There's a rolling back take at the very beginning that's pretty wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bahanis was just on it, and William Diaz was never able to mount offense. He just was sort of trying to like recover for the entirety of the match versus Azaki Bahens. And that was like, again, when you see Bahens do really well, this is the sort of match he just throws up overwhelming offense and pressure, and just pressures. And Diaz is never really able to retain like his guard for a super like long amount of time, because Bahens is just with the Toriando just over and over, and the outside Toriando, and then he combos it with the knee cut pass to get through. Just crazy level of offense. We also have William Diaz in the previous round defeating Tommy Langacker in a somewhat controversial DQ. So that's a match I have not seen, but I see it here listed as controversial.
I want to
go back and watch it now.
I haven't watched it. I completely forgot about that.
So
there was like an argument. I think he argued with the ref.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
And so because he argued with the ref, he got DQ'd.
That happens sometimes at World Pro. So moving on to the 94 kilogram division, we have Eric Muniz taking his first world title. He defeats Adam Wardzinski 4-2. This is where the Eagle Eye and the Falcon Eye, the Falcon Eye system, which is the AJP's review system, comes into play. They showed this, and I watched this, I think, 4 or 5 times. And I still couldn't exactly figure out
the sweep.
Was it a sweep? Because great match. Watch the match again. I talk about it on the show all the time. Big fan of Adam Wardzinski's game. I love the butterfly, the way he combos, the long leg De La Hiva hook, the long leg X guard hook here.
It was a weird sweep. I
think it was Eric Muniz really understanding the rules well, because he has Wardzinski on the bottom, and Wardzinski goes to come up. Muniz gets around him. Wardzinski, to avoid the pass, bellies down, but Muniz still has the far side leg grip on Wardzinski to avoid him from coming back into the guard. After they kind of sit in this belly down outside position for a couple seconds, and like it's in transition, Muniz, as they start to square, pulls guard. Wardzinski comes on top. And then Muniz, for that, I think gets an advantage because he forced the turtle, but he's on the bottom. So it was a really weird sequence.
Yeah, and they kept on playing the sequence. And they played it forward and backwards, which
it was awesome. Like, again, I loved it. I don't think anything wrong happened there, but for me, I went, based on where Wardzinski's leg is, based on where Eric Muniz's like arm is and leg is, and like where he gets his body, it's like I could see how you could score this any of the 3 ways, basically where it's like a sweep versus a belly down, like a turtle position, or as like a near pass. And I can see good arguments for any one of those calls, and it was cool. It was cool to see, like, they reviewed it. It's a very, very, like, small position. I think it's because Wardzinski bellies flat out, and Muniz comes fully square to him. And then as they come back in, pulls up, where it's like, okay, they deemed that was a forcing of the turtle. And he got past far enough, even with the grip on the leg, to deem it was points. But again, I could totally see, either way, where it was Wardzinski sweeping. It was neat. It was a really cool match. That was the deciding factor in the match. There was a sweep from Wardzinski, kind of combo with a pull from Muniz, and that was the other additional point there. Very cool match. Again, I love watching Muniz. I love watching Wardzinski because I really like the style of game he plays. We're starting to see him open up and play a much more grip-heavy game with like the upper body control, and he's starting to move his legs outside of just the butterfly, incorporating more like long leg X guard and like long leg De La Hiva guard in there, and it's cool to see him. I really am a fan of his game personally. So very fun match. Anything to add?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Next match in the 120 kilogram division, Gutenberg Pereira defeats Walter Santos 15-0. Goddamn, Gutenberg Pereira is really, really good.
Yeah,
and since that BJJ start, we've known Pereira was good for a long time. He's been a world contender for a long time.
He sacrificed throw dude on his face.
Dude, the beginning of the opening of this match,
in the very beginning of the match,
beautiful.
His face just freaking hits the mat.
So
I've done that so many times.
Gutenberg is super tall,
Had my
super lanky,
face hit the mat.
and he has like like an overhand grip on Santos.
Yeah.
And then what he does is he kind of snaps him down a little bit.
Yeah.
And he gets so far away from Santos, and he has such a high grip on him that he forces Santos to come to his knees.
Yeah.
And then as Santos stands up, he
just
comes forward and he
fucking
outside
face him.
judo trips him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is such a dirty combo.
Yeah.
And Pereira is just so good with it. I love it because Pereira is a guy, again, in contrast to Wardzinski, who plays a game that I very much try to emulate, and I watch a lot of the technical pieces. Pereira plays a game that I absolutely do not have the body style to do, but is such a treat to watch.
But it'd be so much fun if you could.
Dude.
I would faceplant people all the time.
He is so tall, and he leans him over so much that Walter Santos has no other option either to go to all fours.
Especially with the gi.
Yeah, or to
You
stand
have
back
to,
up.
yeah.
And Pereira combos this like he snaps him down, he stands up, and then he drags him forward and like essentially, I think what the TLI guys call a train wreck.
Yeah.
He just throws him over. I think and there's a judo term for the throw.
Yeah.
But it's an outside foot trip when you kind of arm drag them forward, but off a collar drag. And then he gets him down, and that is sort of the beginning of the end. He passes, he goes through guard, he goes to mount, he goes through guard again, racks up 15 unanswered points for Walter Santos, and just absolutely dominates from top position. Any other pieces?
Nope.
Again, I love watching Gutenberg Pereira. I love that he seems to have made the changes in his game to have him winning things like World Pro and like other big events.
Yeah.
It was a treat to watch him upset Mergali at BJJ Stars 4 or 5. And he just continues to... We see him continue to up his work rate, which was previously a problem for him. And it's just awesome to see him make the changes. Again, I love watching a guy's career change as he implements new techniques and new strategies, and it's been awesome to watch Gutenberg Pereira do that over the last couple of years. Moving on to the women's division, brown and black belts are lumped together for AJP, which is something that we've talked about historically. Where the sport is right now, I'm very happy that they do it. You get a chance for the brown belt women to compete up against the black belts of the world. That line fluctuates for skill level pretty frequently, and also makes the divisions.
You also have some newer black belts.
Yeah.
So, and it gives them a little bit of...
But it also makes the divisions a little larger.
Yeah.
Because historically the women's divisions have they get thin.
Yeah.
At the top level for brown and black, so lumping those together allows you to have fuller divisions for the women, so you're not ending up with there's two people in this division.
I wonder because they have the rule where you have to play in the leotard, the full body leotard, so that your skin doesn't come out. I wonder if you have to like practice in that thing, because I would think that thing would, I don't know. I've never practiced.
I think it's just a rash guard.
It's like a singlet. It's like a full body singlet.
I think it's just a rash guard that comes up to your neck. I think
it goes all the way down. It's so your butt doesn't come out. It's so your butt and your back don't come out.
Huh.
It actually covers your whole back. It's a singlet in theory. It's like a singlet that comes all the way over.
Oh, really?
It's almost like a
singlet.
like a wetsuit. Like a short wetsuit.
Yeah, to avoid.
And it's your butt
again. You're in Abu Dhabi, and so
your butt doesn't come out, and your boobs don't accidentally pop out, and all that kind of stuff.
That's reasonable.
Which I mean happens. So
So AJP has gone. Hey, we want none of that.
Yeah,
because
so we're just
we're in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
where that's less accepted,
frowned upon.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see if that feels different. I assume it does. Feels different to train versus like a regular rash guard.
It would be different.
So first match of the final, we have Brenda Larissa defeating Alina Kalu. Give me the last name, Miranda. Karuni via decision. Fun match. Very, very close match. I would very clearly give this to Larissa here. Top, consistent, pressing forward, trying to pass, and then when Wedge on the bottom.
Yeah. Alina just tried. She was playing squid guard.
Yeah.
Which is fun to see because I very seldom do I ever see anybody actually play that.
You don't see a ton of people play it. We're starting to see it kind of come to prominence a little more, but it's still pretty rare at a world finals level. It's still pretty rare.
It was more of a stalling. I mean,
she was trying to
stave
stall her
off until sweeps.
Yeah, and she was working. She was working off of it, but Larissa was doing a really good job of kind of consistently pressuring into it, and never letting her get offensive with it.
And this one was one where they had a restart. They finished the match, and then because it was 1-1, they went to a restart and was first to score.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
which then no one scored, but
and so went to decision.
Yeah.
But Larissa gets this with just
her passing in the overtime round, I guess we can call it. I don't know.
Yeah, overtime.
The overtime round was super aggressive.
Yeah,
She
she wins it on aggressiveness and forward pressure there. 55 kilogram division. We have Ana Rodriguez defeating Rose Al Shahuni via points 4-2. I don't have a ton of notes on this one. Again, I'm not super familiar with.
Yeah, Anna's just passing. She would get Rose in half guard, but it was more of like a flat half guard. It was the half guard they tell you never to play.
That like back flat half guard.
Your back flat half guard, yeah. And then she would pass, and then Shahuni would always get her guard back. Yeah. She tried to play some spider guard. She swept her from spider guard at one point.
Again, it's a short match.
But then Shahuni could never pass.
Right.
Pass Anna once Anna back was on the mat. So
no. So that's the match. Women's 62 kilogram division. We have Bia Mesquita defeating Margaret Cicerelli via loop choke from the closed guard in about
30 seconds?
About a minute and a half.
You think so?
I think she was in the loop choke. So Bia comes out, pulls guard, immediately throws the loop choke from the guard.
I think it really was an Ezekiel at first.
The commentary said it was an Ezekiel, but I watched it.
And
it was loop choke. It's that loop choke that you do by gripping your own gi and coming around.
Which is really, if you think about it.
Well, the Ezekiel,
in the mount position.
I consider the Ezekiel, if you have the hand in front and you have it behind the neck, the loop choke, she's using the gi to do it.
True.
So if you're using your own forearm to do it and you're grabbing the gi to push pressure, it's Ezekiel. But if you're using the gi to do it and she leans over and grabs that low grip with the gi.
And she finally gets it by going out to the side.
Well, she tightens it up, and then she's like, you can tell that Bia is kind of like, doesn't want to overextend it, doesn't want to burn her arms out, because the loop choke is pretty hard to. You have to burn your hands a little bit to get it, especially at a high level. And she climbs up really high. She does like 3 things I thought were interesting for the adjustment.
Yeah.
She gets it in. You see her kind of adjust her hand placement a little bit, so it's tight. You then see her kind of like wait to see if she's going to get the tap. She's not. She then changes her guard position and gets like really high on the guard to put more pressure on the shoulders to push their head down into it.
I think she was also trying to get Margot to kind of turn a little bit.
Yeah, because she can flip them over.
Yeah, she needed to get,
position.
and she also needed to get her hips kind of out
Yeah.
from the middle to be able to actually execute the choke.
She does that. And then she makes the turn out and is able to kind of get a little bit off angle. And that just opens you up so you're not getting caught in your own body to finish the choke, and you can spin out to the side. Yeah. And as soon as she does that, they're a little closer here than I would have liked. The kind of finishing camera angle is very close to the hands. You can see the hand tap for Margaret.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to see a little bit more of like where the legs were, where the rest of the body was. But what do you say? Bia does it again.
Yeah.
Very, very quick choke to win World Pro.
Yep.
Next match, we have the women's 70 kilogram division.
Said she actually had 4 out of 4 of her matches by sub.
I'm not surprised. She beats Juliana Alves via cross choke from the closed guard. I don't have the rest of her results here.
I don't have them all, but that was the statistic that I saw. But it's also her 7th belt at AJP.
What do you expect? And she's won Queen of Mats, and Bia's a woman that I will never bet against. Like Bia's in there, Bia's probably gonna take it. She's just consistently dominant. Those are huge amounts of submissions and just looks good. Yeah. Women's 70 kilogram division. We have Ingrid Alves defeating Magdalena Losca via points 5-2. This was a fun one.
Yeah, it was.
I enjoyed this. I actually read the scoreboard wrong. I thought Losca had won at the beginning. At the end of this match, rewatched it and realized that nope, I just had the names switched around.
Oh, okay.
I was good. This was a very fun match. Very nice passing attempts from Alves. She gets around, and there's a nice 50-50 sweep in this match, and this is the one I was talking about.
A lot of trading sweeps.
2 trading sweeps, and then an almost pass for Alves here that secures that 1 point in AJP. Instead of getting the advantage, you get the point. She's able to take it.
So it's kind of like Naga rules when you get your attempted submission points.
Look, I like that.
Not that bad.
I like that because it makes me have to keep track of less stuff, and also it actually awards you points to do so.
It gives you something for your attempts.
Yeah, versus like an advantage, it always feels like you won by such a small margin.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like it's worthless.
True.
Where it's like, oh, you got an advantage, but the points or whatever. Versus doing something in AJP in this kind of shortened rule set, it gives you points to do so. It makes it actually beneficial from a point scoring perspective to win the match.
Yeah.
And you can win matches on on points because you're taking these small victories that are awarding you points as opposed to just awarding you an advantage. So if someone does one thing in a match and then you do 5 smaller things, you can still win that match, and it awards being active. And again, I think it makes for much better viewing. Like all of these matches
better action.
Were great, and the level of action was great. And this is where we see it come into play. Again, the 50-50 sweep back and forth, both setting it up very well, knocking over, coming up.
Yeah.
Real attempts to actually like sweep and use the 50-50 to sweep and not just like teeter-totter back and forth. They were both looking and actively working off of the 50-50, and I was very happy to see that. Women's 95 kilogram division was a round robin final match. We had Gabriela Passanelli defeating Yana Soares. I watched this match a bunch of times. It was 3-2 for Gabriela Passanelli.
Yeah.
There is a big sequence here that we reviewed and looked over and over and over again where Gabriela Passanelli she's on the bottom.
Isn't it Passanhandra or
Passana.
Passana?
Yeah. I've only called her the wrong name for 3 years.
Okay.
And I keep doing it. And someone was nice enough to DM me and go, "Hey, Maine, you keep saying her name wrong. That's not her name. Gabriele Passana."
Passana.
Mm-hmm. Passana. My bad, guys.
I was like, is there an I there somewhere that I don't know?
Nope. Passana. I've said her name wrong for years.
I say everybody's name wrong. So
yeah, but no one's DM'd you and told you.
no, but if you want to, go right ahead. You can
specifically this issue
go on my
has
Instagram.
been said, and they've
It's
been like,
random things. You can find me.
Hey, Maine.
Tell me about what I don't pronounce right.
Her name's not spelled like this. So
Yep.
Gabriele is on the bottom and Yana's on the top. Gabriele goes for a toe hold. She starts. The majority of her body is in bounds. She swings her body outside, and Yana Soares defends towards the edge of the mat. The toe hold is cleared. It goes into like an outside single leg X position.
Yeah.
Gabriella moves her head, and she's pushed a little bit additional by Yana. She's awarded a advantage, which is 1 point for this. Gabriella's head touches the outside edge of the mat. The mat is restarted. And then that is the final scoring sequence. So it's sweep, sweep, and that one toe hold. I need to go look at AJP rules again to figure out exactly why this happened. But because I just don't know. What I assume happened is she got a point for a submission that was defended in the warning area of the mat.
Yeah.
That's what I assume it was.
It's an advantage.
Yeah, which is a point in AJP.
Yeah.
Which I think is good.
Because you can't flee the mat either. But I don't think they have an issue.
Well, I don't think it was a flee. I don't think it was a fleeing the mat.
Fleeing. It was a.
Yeah, because a fleeing mat's a DQ, which it should be.
Oh, really?
I know in IBJJF it is, and AJP is very similar.
IBJJF, it's a there's a point. It's a point.
No. It's willfully fleeing the mat in a submission is a DQ.
Really?
Incidental fleeing of the mat is points for your opponent.
Got it.
So it's like look at Tomoyuki Hashimoto.
I just know I've gotten called for it before, and it irritates me.
We had
because I didn't realize where I was at. Truthfully.
Yeah, but a lot of times IBJJF I think does a really poor job of it, honestly. Where there's a lot of like ambiguity for like what they push out, and they not, and they are very inconsistent with scoring.
Well, they also had certain teams that were taking advantage of the fleeing the mat.
A lot of teams do.
They would flee the mat.
A lot of teams do it. I think AJP does a good job here. Again, this is one of my. I need to go back and read the rules to better understand AJP, but this is where that 1 point is scored. Josh and I talked kind of at length today about that, Josh of the Grappling Rewind, about, do you like the point? Do you not like the point? Do you like how AJP makes the advantages points? And there's good argument on either side of it. I personally really like it because it makes these small battles actually worth like scoring and match-winning events.
Gives you something for your effort.
Yeah, and it also, it pushes the pace.
True.
Because if you're actually going to, if by forcing someone to turtle, you get a point for that, you're really going to try to do that.
Well, and you're not gonna rely on the turtle to get out of being passed.
And same thing with a footlock attempt on the edge. Like, I'm gonna work for this because I can be rewarded for my efforts in this position here, and as a result, my opponent's probably gonna defend more feverishly if they're going to be assessed points against or towards me. I just like it. I think AJP runs a great series of events. Their production quality is great. I would love to have mat side cameras here. They used a lot of overhead cameras or like stands cameras. I would have loved to have a little bit closer and tighter shots in some of these matches. But overall, I can't. It is still one of the best produced events.
And the production was great.
Yeah,
and they had like all kinds of cool light effects and
Overlays and lights.
Yeah.
Again,
Except sometimes I felt bad for the ref because the ref would be in the middle of the mat and it would just go on for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
He would just be standing there. And I was like, dude's just going to stand there and can't move. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
He's just hanging out in the middle of the mat.
yeah. Overall, a lot of fun. I love World Pro. I wish that we have more time to be able to cover it in more depth because I think it's a great event. I can't wait to see the following. They're running 2 seasons at the same time for World Pro, so I can't wait till next year when everything is more, more normal.
They
and
have
we
a
see,
Miami event coming up? Or
Yeah, they do.
Had happened? Or?
I think 2 weeks ago or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, we talked about going down to it.
Yeah.
I would love to do an AJP. I just think that like they treat their
That'd be fun.
athletes with respect.
Yeah.
And for a big organization, they do a lot of stuff that I really appreciate.
I mean, in a few years, we could do the whole baller thing and go to Abu Dhabi. Why not?
I'm down. I'm down to Abu Dhabi. I'm down to go to World Pro 2023.
I mean, me and your wife probably get in trouble being the two
Probably.
of us in Abu Dhabi.
Probably you would. So maybe I just go. All right, moving on. Fight to win 188. We're going to talk about the headline main event. This was Bones Jones.
No.
Devontae Johnson defeated Ronaldo Maidana via decision. Bones looked good. He hits a nice single leg to kind of kick off the match at the beginning, and that kind of very much set the tone of the match in Bones' favor.
They've went against each other multiple times. Because they went in, they said Devontae is 2-0 against Arnaldo.
Yeah.
And that Nogi Pans, they went against each other. And Arnaldo lost at Nogi Pans to Devontae. So it's they've seen each other.
Someone has him figured out a little bit. The thing that I want to talk about, the fun match, Devontae towards the end of the match throws a jumping Kimura over Maidana's guard.
Yeah.
And he throws it from a distance that I didn't think he was going to get it, but he locks it up.
Over him.
Yeah, it's a big leap. Like it's a leap. It's not that leap where it's like they're up close to you. It's like he leaps all the way over cross body on the Kimura, and I went, he's not going to actually go for that.
Yeah,
and he did.
Yeah, and then he almost pulled a crucifix.
Yep, and he gets to the back with it. And that was, I think, the biggest moment of the match. Definitely was him working for that sub and then working on the back there.
But then Arnaldo gets out of the back control.
Yeah, he gets out. I mean, he has good defense there. Devontae, we've not seen his finishing as on display recently, especially during trials.
True.
We saw him, I want to say, play a more tentative game.
Yeah.
But definitely
a lot of standing in trials.
A lot of standing, a lot of playing for, what's the way to put it? Playing for the decision almost. And he's going to do enough in the match to win the decision. It was cool to see him open up here a bit more and take some bigger risks because we know, and again, I've seen him live.
The rolling Kimura was the first, even watching him, because I watched him at ADCC trials. He almost smacked into us, I don't know how many times,
couple
sitting
times
in the front row.
I was in that finals match.
Yeah, and he wasn't really, there was no really crazy, there was a lot of standing, but he didn't do anything like a rolling Kimura or jump to anything or anything really that everything was very calculated. It wasn't like he took a lot of risks. And in this, he took more risks. But this rule set's better suited for
it. Yeah. And again, we've talked about rule sets a lot because we have 3 very different rule sets. GrappleFest, super fights, much longer matches, AJP with the qualifiers, and then with the much shorter matches when the IBJJF kind of style scoring.
Yeah, and a more restrictive kind of
and then fight
situation.
to win where it's like either you sub them or you go to decision. Again, they all of those matches and all of those styles of rules offer something different, and it's cool to have them all contrasted in the same week because they all add something that I like.
It's nice to see certain people open up for certain things.
Yeah, it's like to see him.
It gave a reason for Devontae Johnson to open up and try something crazy, because why not?
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that he can play a conservative rule set in ADCC because it is advantageous to do that.
I don't think I heard Murillo in the background either. I can always find Murillo's voice whenever he coaches him. He has one of those voices that you can always
super
hear.
easy to because it's like 4 octaves
it's
below
so low,
everyone else.
It's crazy. I don't remember hearing him at Fight to Win. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
So,
one of my friends actually rolled with Murillo. Didn't realize who he was. Rolled with him once.
That's always fun when you do that.
Yeah, when you accidentally roll with someone.
You're like, yo, why am I just getting destroyed easily and casually by this man? Oh, this is a world champion. Okay, cool, good to know.
Okay, good to know.
So, Bones opens up, looks good. Also on this card, Sam the Guy had a match. He looked good as well. Lots of pressure, lots of offense for it. He wins the decision as well. I don't have the match list up right now because I just have a schedule list for it. But overall, really fun event. Very fun weekend of events. All the matches and all the events are up on Flow Grappling this week. Go back and watch them. I definitely want to go back and watch a lot more of the World Pro. There were some fantastic performances and some people that I definitely need to do some more tape study on so that we can cover them more effectively in the future. I want to watch the Bracket of Death. I want to watch the women's plus 90 kilogram division because we had Tayane Porfirio and Yana Suarez. I want to watch those round robin matches with Gabriele as well because apparently there was some good results there.
Okay.
And I'm very curious to see. Again, the 5-minute match, I'll go back and watch a lot of matches if they're 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's an easy...
And they're super aggressive with the stalling penalties. Like, those two things in combination, I think, make one of the best rule sets.
Makes it for easier to watch.
Yeah. I think it's also why I like ADCC so much, because those shorter trials matches in conjunction with the aggressive stalling penalties and, like, the difficulty to score, I think they both offer something really good.
And I think with gi, you almost need aggressive stalling penalties.
You have to because you can grip and hold,
and
I can prevent so much offense from you, like because you literally are unable to do anything around that grip because you can't break it.
And when you get to a super high level, especially at black belt, there's that whole calculated risk thing where you get a match where there isn't a lot of movement because you get the position you want, they get the position they want, and neither of you want to give up what you have.
Right, because if I give up, you will win.
Yeah.
And so, I like, again, the contrast of rules is great. I love watching it. I love when it's highlighted on an episode like this because you can talk about, everyone tries to talk about, this is the best rules. Like, nope, they all bring things that are great and
they're all for different reasons.
They're all for different reasons. They all let athletes showcase a different aspect of their game.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate that.
You always have to play to the rules.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending on your rule set is what you can do.
And the best guys can typically win in all rule sets.
Yeah, true. But it's always good to play.
So very fun. So Miranda, that is it for this week. Anything you do anything fun for Thanksgiving?
No. Staying home. Nothing too exciting.
ADCC tickets go on sale Black Friday.
I know.
That is the day after Thanksgiving.
I need
that will be November
26th. Is it 26th?
That was a question, Miranda. We're at 26th.
I think it's the 26th.
That is.
Yeah, I'm right.
November 26th. Woo-hoo! Stay tuned. If you want to go to ADCC, and you should, ADCC 2022, you should. That's when tickets go on sale.
I'm going to grab some.
Tickets go up in price as more tickets are sold.
Yeah.
So
get them while they're early.
So get them while they're getting good.
Oh, do you know what time? Do we know what time?
I don't know what time. I was going to look it up, but I don't know what time
Watch them
yet.
Go on sale when... Okay. Well,
I'll buy your tickets. You're good.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
I'll get tickets. I'm good.
I'm very, very excited. I don't know exactly when. They also do like Hall of Fame ceremonies are coming in for this thing.
It'll be fun.
It's going to be awesome, but make sure you get your tickets this week. This will be the last show prior to tickets going on sale. So if you want to go and you want to get tickets, it's time to get tickets. Brazilian trials are coming up in February, so we'll kind of have some lead into that.
Okay.
Mo Jassim has posted a bunch of stuff about that. The rules have been translated into Portuguese. He made a big effort to do that.
Okay.
So I appreciate that, the Portuguese-speaking athletes that don't speak English are going to have an opportunity to fully understand the rule sets. That's just an important piece.
Craig Jones is going to go install Shahuni.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up. When is that?
That's December, I think, 19th.
Okay, that's coming up. That's a combat jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah, because I can't get my passport fast enough or I would have went because that would have been a cool match. It would just been a fun time. But, it's in Cancun, Mexico. They just announced that recently. I'm trying to think if they've announced anything else that's, like, crazy.
I'm trying to find the dates for tickets, and I don't...
For ADCC tickets?
Well, I can't find the time. Because Mo mentioned
I don't think he said it yet.
He sent it on one of the live streams for ADCC on the Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's basically going to be a time that is conducive to worldwide. So no one's going to be probably blacked out of time. It's going to be
watch it be some weird ass time that
it's going to be an odd time, but it's like you're able to get it in Europe, you're able to get it in US, and you're able to get it in.
I'll pull the side of the road for tickets.
Yeah, I think it's he's doing it late Pacific time. I think.
Oh, okay.
So that, the West Coast doesn't have to get up at 4 a.m. to do it, and the East Coast is doing it at, like, a good time.
Yeah.
So
we'll find out.
We'll find out. Other than that, I'm about to drive 550 miles today or tomorrow, depending on when we leave.
I'm not doing anything, which is fun.
That should be fun. First vacation. I've seen my family.
Actually, I have
in
no kid for a week, so that'll be
nice.
That's kind of exciting.
Awesome.
That never happens.
You can train this weekend? This week?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll be back in. I rolled with Phil at Balance.
Phil Megler-Reese?
Yeah, 6-degree black belt.
Yep.
He told me I wasn't that bad.
That's good.
That's probably the best thing I've ever heard. It's as good as when I've only had a few people ever tell me I'm not that bad, and I'm like, I keep those in the back of my head.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have promotions coming up. I think, is he coming down for promotions? Do you know? We're a balance affiliates. If you don't know,
I'm not sure. Well, I'm sort of.
You're you.
I'm sort of family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he's coming down, but
Okay.
I'm not positive.
I know we have people going. We have 2 people going to black belt for our association. That's awesome. Head instructors going to black belt at one of the gyms. Very, very exciting time. The Hopkins Club is running again, so I'm coaching there now again. So yeah, overall it's
Yeah.
It's a very exciting couple weeks coming up.
Well, good.
So I'm going to enjoy my vacation and then get back into it.
Yeah.
So as always, in the show, I'm your host Maine, the co-host.
Miranda.
We got the Grappling Rerun to see the mat, whatever it is. Stay safe.
Thanks.
If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.